All right, Fletcher Wheaton. I'm here with Alejandro Donadu.
Alejandro Donadu.
There you go. And Alejandro's a new agent, so figured we'd go over a little MLS market data, and it'd be a good way to learn. Of course, he asked me, "Are you going to show me the data beforehand?" I said, "No, you're not going to learn anything, you know." So
Pop quiz.
yeah, pop quiz, but don't worry, I'm not going to put you on the spot. So we're just going to get right into some data. We are going to compare 2024 to 2025. Well, we always do this, so I look forward to doing more of these, but a lot of people were talking about tariffs. They're talking about real stuff, right? Stock market going down, 2 weeks ago, and people were freaking out. So with all that being said, in the beginning of the year or in December, I said that I thought there was going to be more sales this year. But I didn't really foresee all this turmoil. So the question that I have is, we've had all the drama, the politics, the tariffs, and I'm just talking about closed sales on the MLS, houses, condos, and land. Are we higher or lower than last year?
I've been hearing a lot about this. And well, I heard, right, the answer a little bit that it's going higher.
Yeah.
And that's a surprise.
You were in the office on Friday when I was putting this together. So this is going to be total sales volume, not just number of transactions. So like dollar figures. Through April 24th, 2025, we're up 25%. So houses, land, and condos. Last year at this point, we had sold $390 million. This year, we're almost at $500 million. It's pretty wild. So you know this, last year we basically sold 1.45 billion on the MLS. So we're kind of a third of the way to last year. And obviously closings here can take longer and whatnot. And you have more active times of the year. So we'll kind of see what happens. But we put 15 million under contract this month. So it's a lot of like higher end stuff. We'll get into that. The higher end market it's wild, man. It's like these people aren't worried about inflation, stock market.
So you have like part of the market it's a little bit worried about?
Yeah, I think there's definitely more sensitive.
But the high end, it doesn't
well,
matter,
I'm saying,
right?
like right now, depending, we haven't seen it. Okay, so condo sales. Well, I didn't ask you the question there, but across Baja, condo sales are up 1% so far this year. And we'll get into some numbers here. You've got essentially same numbers, right? Now the question is, where are they being purchased and things like that. We're just going with, on a percentage basis, you have condos, you have homes, and then you have land. What percentage of that, $500 million is going to be condo sales?
Well, I have the number right here, right? So it will be like 30%, 35%.
Yeah, 29%. I didn't think about that before. Gave you the answer. All right. So 29%. So, it just gives you a good indication. Okay. So condos are a little bit less than a third of the market here. Now, remember, if you go on a transaction basis, it's going to be a lot higher. I'm talking about just sales volume. Like, you might have 100 homes sell, and then you might have like 300 condos sell, but the 100 homes have a higher volume because it's a higher price point. You see what I'm saying? And that's why they would show up. And this is what I'm saying. I would say that the condo market, especially in an area like Tezal, is going to be the most price sensitive to turmoil, to tariffs, to the news, and that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of wealthy people, they've got this, they're like, hey man, we've been here, we've seen this, they were kind of waiting for the tires to fall off the past couple of years and it didn't. So I think they feel confident that going forward, they kind of know what they're getting into, at least.
They're more informed.
If you have a net worth of $5 million versus a net worth of $50 million, this is essentially kind of like a larger purchase for you. So it's much more like important in that aspect. So you're going to want to do it correct, but you can also and I'm not saying it's wrong, right? But you can also overanalyze the situation. So Tezal is, Tezal. It's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. It's a good indication of what's going on with the market in general. So what do you think?
Well, I just came and lived there, so I have been seeing the area and a lot of people. I think it's going up. I see a lot of development there.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You had too much. So we're up. Volume and transactions both are up 21% so far this year. And I've been saying this. Last year, people held tight in Tezal, and I thought that was a good decision. Now you can get really good pricing, for a place to live, for a place to rent out in Tezal. I firmly believe that. So what do you think the average sales price for a condo in Tezal?
400,000?
571. And look, you get this skewed to a certain extent by the higher end stuff. There's some projects that are coming online that'll skew that, but that's not it's not a low number. And here's another thing. A lot more 3-bedroom condos have come on the market in past years because that's kind of what the market wanted.
Yeah.
So in a 3-bedroom is obviously going to be a higher price point.
We're families, huh?
Yeah. What about San Jose del Cabo?
It has to be higher. 800?
Sales in San Jose del Cabo are up 37%. Average price point is $730, and that's up 10% from last year. Okay. So in general, San Jose is going to be a more expensive market because there's less inventory. However, you were at our meeting the other day. They got a lot of inventory coming too. They basically have a Tezal of San Jose coming.
Big developments.
Yes. So this is what we're talking about. There's an area in San Jose, kind of by the G20, Tienda 17 area, and it's got like an ocean view. They're going to be adding 1,200 condos there. I think 600 of which, and we're talking all ground up construction, right? I think 600 of those, at least the projects total, will be active on the MLS by the end of this year. We've already got 2 of them on, and it'll be very interesting. Someone like me, I'm watching. I'm like, all right, how many sales are pinging? What's up? It'll be interesting because I'm calling this area the Tezal of San Jose. I personally think it caters more towards a Mexican national buyer than what you're seeing in Tezal, where there's a really good mix.
Do you think it's also going to be like the Canary, but of San Jose?
No. Well, here's the thing. San Jose doesn't really have, these are like starting in the low 300s. And we just saw the price points that are higher in San Jose. So like the price point is correct. It's just ground up development right now. I got to know everything about what's going on just because everything's increased, man. The value of land, the value of, labor, construction materials. So there's just more risk with buying ground up pre-construction right now than there was, let's say, 5 years ago. So that's why I'm watching that. But I think from a price point, I think it's good. And like I said, I'm keeping an eye on this, because I'm curious, and it's like, that's why we invited that project over the other day, because I want to learn about that market, so I'm going to be in contact with them and trying to figure out what's going on with it. This is like, you go to Tezal, you got projects that are complete. You got projects that are half done. You got projects that are just starting. You have everything. This area is dirt.
Yeah, completely. It's going to just start, right?
And that's what I'm saying is like, I'm already kind of like caution. And I just want to see how the sales velocity goes. Houses.
It has like 40%.
Total house sales are clearly up, right? It's kind of wild. You can have these projects too that sway these numbers, because you got to think this is basically 4 whole months of data. You can have projects that throw a bunch on at once too. That kind of skews it. But houses on a sales volume are up 71%.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Number of houses sold in Baja California Sur is up 23%. So homes within the Cabo area are, up more than double right now so far this year.
Which area is the one that has the most increment?
I know for the Pacific side, because I got that. That's a good question. So really, this is going to be like Tezal, Pedregal, downtown. You got a couple other areas. And then once you get into, Pedregal in the area, and then above that, it counts as the Pacific.
So the Cabo corridor goes all the way north from Cabo San Lucas also?
No.
Because you were saying like north?
Yeah. So like that really starts getting in the Pacific side. Like, yeah, inland, yes, but then you get on the Pacific side. What area for homes has the highest average sale price? All right, this is going to be between Cabo San Lucas, Cabo Corridor, San Jose Corridor, or San Jose del Cabo.
San Jose.
San Jose del Cabo Corridor is where you have like Palmilla, Querencia. Coming from Mazatlan, this might be a shocker.
I don't know, but what I've been hearing from the other
you're gonna be like, is that in pesos?
I'm gonna go high, around 10 millions.
10 million? Yeah. Nah, that's a little too high, but so dude, it's almost 6. Okay. Last year was 4.
We saw a sale this week, really big. That's what I say that number.
In our office had a 7.5, which is in the San Jose corridor, right? So I mean, that was a nice house.
I just arrived and I saw those numbers. You know?
You have like Querencia. Querencia has set the record like 3 times in the past. Well, it's 2 times. Then if this other one pings, whenever it pings, it'll be the 3rd sale that's set the record. So, and then Palmilla. It already had, ridiculous, $20 million sales and a lot higher than that off the market too. So average sale price increased by 44%.
You have all the elections and all that coming through. Then you have a 44% increase. I mean, it doesn't matter.
This is where I play devil's advocate. People get lost in the data too. So you can start spinning any narrative. So it's just numbers, and it's good to know. But then you can, then you start believing something. Oh, well, the elections didn't matter. And then next elections, you're getting somebody into something because you went off of 4 years ago and you're like, shit, But yeah, it is interesting. I personally, when I looked these up, even with me saying that we had more sales last year, I was certain that we were down. Even though our office is up, I just have been talking to a lot of agents. What is the only market in Baja California, sir?
Maybe if you go a little bit to La Paz.
So La Paz is down 28%, okay? Now, this is important. La Paz isn't down. It's just down from last year. Okay, so what happened is like Cabo got hot, right? And then prices increased. Then people were kind of looking on the Pacific, the East Cape. And then people saw like last year that, hey, the house that I was looking at in Cabo, like in 2019 or 2020, that's now up here is at this price in La Paz. So I'm going to go there. Now, La Paz is not for everybody, but you had a lot of interest going into La Paz. So all you had, and then you had a lot of prices raised and you got a lot more agents there. Just that's the nature of things. So now we just had like a slight pullback. It doesn't mean that La Paz is down. It just means that relative to last year, for example, this happened on the Pacific side, like Todos Santos. They had a freaking wild year. It's like, 21, 22, 23. And then 24 kind of looked like, or maybe it was 23, just kind of looked like it came down like this. But in reality, it was much higher than it was years before. So it's just interesting to see. La Paz is having a little, in a good way.
So maybe if you compare it like from 5 years ago, it has a good number.
Oh, 100%. La Paz is like wild compared. I remember looking at it, and La Paz used to have like, less than 40 million on the MLS for everything, for condos, lands, and homes. And I mean, I can probably look at this. Yeah, man. Like it's way up. It's way up. So La Paz homes so far this year, 15. Yeah, and look, we're only halfway through the La Paz land. Yeah.
I remember people saying like La Paz is how Mazatlan was like 50 years ago, It's really calm. A lot of people like it for living there.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah. It depends. Okay. La Paz is not for, like, if you like Cabo and then you go to La Paz.
I love.
But that's what I'm saying. A lot of people here, they're like, oh, it's too expensive, so I'm going to go to La Paz. And like, well, go check it out. Stay for a weekend. Let me know what you think. What are home sales? What percentage? Remember, condos were like, what, 28.4%?
Yeah. Home has to be like 60%.
62.4, close. Maybe next time you'll be right on. So that's a big figure. 62.4%. That's a lot. What Baja market has seen the biggest increase year to date on sales?
It has to be also the San Jose corridor. Oh, Loreto.
Loreto. 2024 was like La Paz. I can see this on like our CRM and just see what people are browsing, and now it's like Loreto. Okay. So Loreto was like absolutely nothing, and now so their numbers look crazy. So Loreto's had a huge increase. Now Loreto, I know Loreto very well. We have a project in Loreto. We have 2 offices in Loreto. Very limited flight traffic. And so saying it reminds me of La Paz last year. So once again, it's going to go like this. And then I'm going to show these numbers, in a year or 2 years. And then it'll be like, oh, Loreto's down 50% from, and I'll be like, oh my God, it's not, and it'll be like, no. This is just relative, what goes up kind of has to cool off. And that's a good thing. You don't want it to keep getting out of control.
Loreto has its own airport, right?
Yeah, but like what flights, So like, man, my clients, Dallas, Denver, okay, you might have a LA flight, but, Seattle, Chicago, Houston, you might have like a flight from like Phoenix and one from like LA. And then they'll do these ones where it's like once a week. That's not really a flight, man. It's inconvenient for people. I have buyers that literally I'm coming down on Thursday through like Sunday. And just because they had an open schedule. Now if you gotta be like, oh crap, I can only fly out, it's inconvenient. But Loreto is beautiful. Not for everybody. Like we would go up and film in Loreto. And the agent would be like, hey, to know the video guy, she'd be like, go swing by Costco and bring me like 20 steaks. I'm like, I guess like don't have, like a supermarket up there where you can go buy a steak, but it's a different, that's what I'm saying. And people are like, oh, that's what we want. And then you get there, and I'm just saying, I can see people where they're like, hey man, I know people that have lived in Loreto for like 6 months and they're like, hey man, they actually ended up moving to La Paz.
Okay. Yeah, it was a little bit too much maybe. No?
So limited flight traffic, access to first world entertainment. People said they don't like that until for some people that's good, right? Yeah. Title, and I'm not saying there's a lot, it takes longer to get title, and then you have a lot more like Ejido land there. So, and then the pricing is going to increase. The good thing is it's going to spur more development to go there. So then you'll have more opportunities to look, but you're going to get a point where demand is outpacing supply.
I was reading an analysis about Loreto, and it said like it's the 3rd place in Mexico that is going to have good plusvalía in the next 10 years.
Yeah, no, Loreto's nice. So land.
What is it? 10%.
9.2%. Okay, it's funny because I asked somebody else in our office this, and they said the same thing. Land sales are down. Okay. Now, what I will say about this too is a lot of people bought land, and like now they're starting to build. Okay. So like the land play, I'm not saying there's no land play, but a lot of people did it last year as like pricing. They're like, hey, I'm gonna buy like ahead. And a lot of those people, I know a lot of people that are building right now.
They're in the next stage, right?
Yeah. Plus, like, once again, this 4 months, you go to the end of the year and then it ends up being higher. There's very limited data on this. More people are building right now. A lot of this has to do with stabilization of the U.S. to U.S. dollar, So I said this, I thought after elections, which I was kind of wrong on, that there's gonna be a little bit more stability, but the dollar has kind of stayed at that 20-to-1 range. And that's good for foreigners looking to build. If it stays, if it fluctuates a lot, man, it can be difficult. Pacific market has high sales numbers. When I refer to the Pacific market, I'm talking about kind of like Magriño on up. Cerritos, Pescadero, Todos Santos. The MLS includes golf course communities, like just everything above. I personally just think that's more Cabo. MLS Pacific market includes everything above Pedregal. And then that's Querencia, Diamante, Rancho San Lucas. Okay. And like, man, Querencia, Diamante's got homes that are listed for 30. Querencia has a St. Regis. You know, I think some of those are just under 20.
It has its own numbers, right?
Yeah. They've sold 85 million so far in 2025 on the Pacific side. I believe this is just homes. Okay. So this is just homes on the Pacific. Yes.
Talking about 20% of the whole sales?
On golf course communities?
The 85 million.
Yeah. So which percentage of that 85 million is golf course?
Oh, that's a tough one. 50%.
75%. So look, we had 85 million. Last year at this time it was 45 million on the Pacific side. So Pacific sales are up, but a lot of this is the golf course communities of Querencia, Diamante, Rancho San Lucas to some extent, but more Querencia and Diamante.
It makes sense.
64 million of that 85 is basically those golf course communities. And then you can see what would be, and that's just homes, remember. In the Pacific side, if you want condo inventory, you basically got to go to Cerritos.
Okay.
That's another area where they got a lot of pre-construction going on. It feels mom and pop-ish,
Yeah.
not like Fibra-ish. Okay. You know, so I think you're going to, I'd be careful on pre-construction in Cerritos. It just attracts like a different type of developer right now. Yeah. A lot of people in like Todos Santos and Cerritos and Pescadero do not like Cerritos.
Oh, really? Even if it's so close by.
All you surfers are huge a-holes, man. No.
There are really good waves
it's because, yeah. Cerritos is a good beach. It's because that's where like the development's happening. Okay. And in Pescadero and Todos Santos, they're very NIMBY, not in my backyard. So if you try to build something, man, they'll fight it. Yeah. And Cerritos is the one area where you don't have that.
I know one developer that he loves surf and he was doing like all around, like a surf development.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna work for him, over there.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool area. I mean, it's just wild to see what it's been to like what it is now. And then once again, so right above Rancho San Lucas, you have rolling hills where people are buying lots and building, and then you have some home sales. I really consider that kind of like the Pacific on up. And now Rolling Hills does not have municipal water, and then so you go up and basically that's kind of how it goes. Like Cerritos, is Cerritos on municipal water?
I think it has from Todos Santos.
Todos Santos does, but Cerritos is not on municipal water, dude.
It's close by.
It's close by.
How long is it going to take to...
Who knows? But the good thing is on the Pacific side, you actually have a lot more water than you do on the East Cape side. Active condo listings on the Pacific side, 236. La Paz, 115. San Jose del Cabo, 368. Cabo Corridor, 696. How many do you think are in La Paz or in the East Cape? How many condos are listed?
50.
There are 18 condos listed on the MLS.
There are many houses up there, but they all have their own owner, of course.
Yeah, well, the East Cape's just scattered, dude. So, like, there's almost no condo inventory. Okay, are home sales up or down on the East Cape?
Stable.
Up almost 80%. Once again, these aren't like wild numbers. By the way, Playa Tortuga, I have a client building 4 lots down from this. This house sold last like 2 weeks ago for 4.5 million, beachfront home. In Playa. So you have, in this stretch, I would have called you absolutely crazy to go to pre-pandemic. So like 2018, I'd have been like, hey, stay away from there. That's like hippies and surfers. And now you have, basically $5 million homes. Now that it's beachfront, but so East Cape is still building out. There's just lack of infrastructure. How many homes for sale on the MLS in the East Cape?
10?
Nah, come on, man. 145. Last year, that number was 123. That's a wide spectrum of areas too. So East Cape, lack of infrastructure is the main thing. Roads are not that important, in my opinion. You know, they're not that important on the Pacific side. So, but electricity and water,
That's a thing.
yeah.
Like, how do you do it? Everybody is trucking the water, but is it a problem to truck water all the way over there?
The East Cape is, you got to get micro and tell me like which community this is, but absolutely. You know, and like you're going to have a bigger cistern when you're building, you know, so in Cabo, if you need 10,000 liters, you're probably going to do 25,000. Lack of HOA communities. Once again, I'm working with somebody to try to help improve this. We shall see. But there are lack of HOA communities. So you're a Canadian, you buy a home, you like the East Cape, and you leave for 6 months. You leave for 8 months. You know, you want to make sure that your home is safe. Whereas like, man, where I live here in an HOA, my neighbor will paint, you know, like we'll come back from out of town, like, man, we're you know, I was worried, where were you? You know, it's like people notice and they're protecting things, you know. So I think we need more HOA communities. Path of progress is picking up. I like the East Cape because it's scattered and it's harder to understand. And I'm going down a rabbit hole right now in the East Cape.
I've been vacationing there, like in a little house and everything from cousin, and like the communities, I saw like people from our other houses around. They come and check on the house and everything. And there's a little bad, as you said, is like where, because you're so scattered.
Like, man, think like a criminal. What happens at 2 a.m.? Is that guy like up at night? Oh, I wonder if like Timmy's house is okay right now, you know? So yeah, I get it. And everybody says that, but the reality is they need it. Developers are looking around, there is opportunity. You know, so a lot of people are building. You know, my thought process was that, you know, we're gonna have stability post-election. It's been anything but that. But the good news is that the US dollar, Mexican peso has remained like that, which is, it's good. If that starts going up and down, that creates a lot of uncertainty, especially for developers, you know. But right now, this exchange rate is good for foreigners. Okay, so Palmilla and Querencia are two of the nicest on the corridor. And I can go on a rabbit hole in this. We're pressed for time, so I don't want to keep everybody. But Querencia just increased its membership fees for its golf and beach club, and it set the record, you know, 3 times. You know, Palmilla is going private, still selling golf memberships. Their beach club.
Huh? What's the fee?
It's a lot. Okay, can you name the main golf courses in San Jose? I'm not going to include El Dorado, and then I'm not going to include the municipal course either.
In San Jose. I was gonna say Quibira, but
Here, I'll go for it. Okay, so going from like edge of East Cape, you know, we're gonna say Puerto Los Cabos, Campestre, Querencia, Palmilla, and Cabo Real.
Yeah, good. You help me out.
I'm not. It's not finished there. I can't think of the name, but I'm not counting El Dorado or the municipal course.
Why not?
El Dorado's super private. Like it's not on the MLS. And then this other one is just like a municipal course. So it'd be like, you know, throw in a Michelin restaurant with McDonald's. And like people might say like, oh my God, that's me. No, but it's not like, it's not private. So yeah, you do have communities around it, but it's just different. These are like, you know, gated HOA communities that are basically centered around a golf course. And that's why those numbers that I just showed you are up around, what was it, $6.5 million for the average home price?
Yeah, 5.2.
So this is something that we've seen. Okay, so what's the formula for all of these? Okay, Palmilla did it. Querencia just did this. Beach club, golf course private, and then you increase. What's next? Okay, Puerto Los Cabos is building a new beach club, and that's really for like the Ritz area, but they already have one. So, and then they're adding 9 more holes, and then they're going like, Puerto Los Cabos is watching what's going on. I guarantee you they're going to jack up fees. Then what's up? You got Campestre. Campestre has a beach club that they've been talking about renovating. They are going to renovate that. That course is going to go private. And then you have a lot of older areas within that, but a lot of the newer developments, I think, are going to see pricing do well from that. And then Cabo Real has the Cabo Surf Club, and that's a very ambitious project. But they're going to do a beach club and take away those oceanfront holes and bring them across. I asked the guy, I was like, are people going to be, the golfers going to be pissed that you're, and he's like, I don't, they will be, but.
What does the beach club provide? What amenities? What is it? Such a plusvalia and increased price project, the beach club.
I got a buyer that just bought in Querencia. He's from Canada, landlocked Canada. Why do you think a beach club would be appealing to him? So there's a lot of, it's just the ease. And what I'm saying, okay, so Querencia and Palmilla, you're going to pay $6+ million for a house. And then you're not, you know what I mean? You demand that type of amenity when you pay that price. So why? It's like, that's who you're dealing with. People that are flying private. You can't charge that. And that's what I'm saying. These other places like Campestre has it. Cabo Real doesn't, but they have to if they want to keep up with these other ones. And I'm telling you, that's what's happening. They're all watching. Yeah. So you can play this in 3 years. Puerto Los Cabos is going to jack up their golf fees, guaranteed. Then the only two left are Campestre and Cabo Real. And Campestre is going to redo the beach club, take the golf course private, and you're going to see the good projects in Campestre go up. By that time too, Cabo Real Surf Club, we should see where that is. They all want to have that buyer. Yeah. I know somebody like an NFL player who's going into one of these, like that's what they want. They want to have that, so that they can brag about it. So this is what Puerto Los Cabos, Cabo Real, and Campestre. And it's a matter of time. I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow. So this is just for you too, MLS sales versus off market. Let's see how much time we're going on here. I'm going to say, so you know this, my estimation is that 25% of the sales done in Baja are not done on the MLS. Okay. So if we sold 1.5 billion last year on the MLS, we really sold 2 billion. This is basically a $2 billion market. And that's kind of my estimate. But I'm saying like large land purchases, a lot of like El Dorado, Chileno Bay, a lot of these are, they're doing deals that are not showing up on the MLS.
Like the macro lotes, they are mostly off sale.
Oh, you're talking about huge parcels? Yeah. Exactly. So large land purchases, high-end, Chileno, Club, Costa Palmas is another one, El Dorado. Pre-construction or resale, so which is better? I'm going to say it depends. I think right now in Tezal, it makes a lot more sense to buy a resale than pre-construction. This depends on project. Yeah. And that's because like the risk, so you have more risk when you buy pre-construction, but like you should be rewarded for that risk. But right now, if you can pay the same price for something that's built out, why would you take that risk? So, and that's why I'm saying, I think a lot of people are going to see, in hindsight that right around this time, people are getting good deals in Tezal. So a lot of people are like, Tezal, but I think there's some really good projects.
There are many houses selling around in Tezal right now.
Yeah.
On sale.
Sendero's a great example of, this is a project we have right by Florida Farms. Actually might have got another offer last night on one of the units, but it's just, there's not much supply in the area. There's a lot of demand. It's going to rent well. And the people that I got in there, I'm showing them every time, I'm like, hey man, the one below you is about to sell for like 40 grand more than yours. And they're just starting to build this. So Pedregal, I got a whisper, Ariel might hear over there and so correct me. How many homes are listed for sale in Pedregal right now?
500.
52 homes for sale and 66 condos. Okay. How many sales have closed in 2025 so far in Pedregal?
15.
So 5 homes, 8 condos. So 200 homes. You have 52 homes for sale, and you have like another 40 that are being built. So this, a lot of people have referred to Pedregal as the Beverly Hills of Cabo. And I mean, you can't really beat the area. It's right there. It's on the tip. Pedregal doesn't have a golf course. It's not a beach club, but like it's right there. So a lot of people that buy there too. It's like they're just like vacation villas. Yeah. JV structure for development. I don't know if I should get on this. This is where the landowner pledges land for the piece of project. And I just want to say this because I've seen a lot of, for example, we didn't do a project. Now, the reason that I don't think we did the project was because the pricing was off. That was the reason. I believe the pricing was off because they overpaid for the land, so they had to sell their units for this much. If the landowner had pledged that land to the developer and he didn't have to take that huge cost, and the developer gives him a portion of the project, him or her, right? Then they can do their sales at a reasonable price, you know? So I think there's a huge advantage to that, you know, and Sendero's another one where the landowner is going to more than double their money through inventory. It's more appealing to investors and partners with high land prices.
I saw that area. It's changing a lot, developing a lot. The Senderos Anima area, right?
Yeah, it's not really too much right there. They have another project, the Vito, which is launching close by, but yeah.
But the houses are renovating.
Yeah.
I see like some.
There's a lot of like home sites too. I'll just leave it like that. That was a pretty long.
Good.
Yeah. You have any questions before? Shut it down.
The questions are made or what?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good just because.
I can ask.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes right there. So if we have one guy or one person that listened this whole time, then we're doing all right. So
maybe for the next one.
Perfect. All right. Well, if you have any questions or you want to cover more stuff, just let us know.